Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Popeye's Scary Good new Freddy Fazbear Box has garlic palm tenders and cheesy bites with marinara sauce. Try it before it's too late. And see Five Nights at Freddy's 2, only in theaters. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants.
New York State, how is the business community doing? With us today is Paul Zuber, and he's the Senior Vice President of the New York State Business Council, and we're representing over 3,000 businesses. Well, Paul Zuber, give us the pulse.
Well, John, we're at an interesting time right now, right? We're all happy holidays to everybody that's listening. We're about to hit the holidays. But as soon as we get through the new year, we're going to be off and running in New York State. We're going to have the governor is going to introduce her budget. We're going to have the budget negotiations. We're going to go through the legislative session. And I think the big issue for businesses and your listeners is, what does the New York State government do about affordability? Because I constantly hear this word affordability. I was recently with a legislator who talked to me about, Paul, we were in our conference and they showed us all these poll numbers, and affordability still is the number one issue. We have to deal with affordability. And my response back to them is, okay, fine, let's deal with it. Because I'll give you a perfect example, John. Do you know that according to the U.S. Chamber, because of our wacky laws in terms of lawsuits and the ability to kind of just basically sue everybody, that's costing each household in New York State $7,000 a year, because we have laws on our books that are just insane. And the problem is it drives up the cost on consumers. So if you were to go on the internet right now, you can learn how to stage an auto accident. So you can recover insurance, and you can stage it, and you can get a lawsuit started. And everybody wonders why insurance rates are so high in New York State. And nobody wants to do anything about it in the state legislature. You have this other crazy law called the scaffold law. So if you're on a construction site and you fall, even though there's like federal OSHA requirements and there's safety requirements, if you fall, even if it's your fault, it's absolute liability against the contractor. So there was a famous case where a guy crawled into an air vent to take a nap. They were building a big, high rise, and he got disoriented and he fell out the other end. Well, that was an unfortunate incident, but the contractor was held 100% liable. So now insurance companies don't want to insure these big, huge sites. They charge enormous insurance rates. And now we wonder why our affordable housing units, it's impossible to build affordable housing, or it's impossible to build new buildings when all these increased costs are coming on consumers. So I think as we're talking now, I think what we're looking at from the business community is, what does the legislature do about affordability? You have all the energy stuff, right? We've all talked about it. I've talked about it ad nauseum with you about how energy is eating away at consumers. You in New York City have this all-electric buildings law, where all these.
That is hurting us. That is hurting us a great deal, because of what's going on with wind energy and the prices where the price of electricity is going to go to. It's going to destroy things.
It's going to destroy. And look, you have a mayor-elect who's talking about affordability and he wants to freeze rent. But how are you going to freeze rent when a landlord is now going to, and it's not even just about co-ops. A landlord is going to have to retrofit his building. He's going to have to take a loan out. It's going to cost him, probably, if it's one of the older buildings, probably going to cost him $1 million. Well, who do we think is going to pay that cost? The landlord's not going to eat the cost. He's going to raise the rent. right? So you have this law on the books that everybody wants to sing kumbaya and say, oh, great, we're going to help the environment. But at the same time, you're costing consumers a ton of money in, quite honestly, a state where our environmental, even before we did this law, we were actually one of the better states in terms of our environmental compliance. So when are we going to really deal with affordability? And I think that's going to be the big question going into 2026. Are we going to just sit here and talk about affordability, or are we going to deal with some of these things that really deal with affordability? Are we going to raise taxes? Let's talk about raising taxes in New York State, which is a huge mistake because we're one of the worst states, if not the worst state in the nation when it comes to taxes. So again, I think as we look at the new year, John, it's going to be about affordability. But I think the legislature and the governor have to get real about what affordability really means.
Understood. I mean, it's out of control. The budget, I think, is out of control. I mean, we tell people out there that between the city and the state, it's $370 billion budget. And Florida has 4 million more people, and it's only a $120 million budget. So where the hell is money going?
Well, you're absolutely right. And I'll give you a perfect example where it's actually hurting New Yorkers. So, there's this talk about universal child care, right? So, which universal child care would be great, right? But we shouldn't have to raise taxes to do universal child care. If we had done our budget the correct way in the first place, that should have come out of what we call the general fund for education. We should be able to pay for it. But we spend so much money over here and we spend so much money over there. Our budget has increased by $100 billion in the last 10 years. $100 billion. And for what? And we can't do universal child care because of it. And now they're talking about, we need to raise taxes to do universal child care. It's pure insanity.
Well, there's another problem that nobody knows about yet. Not too many people know about it yet, is all the food stamps. So what do they call it now? They call it
SNAP. Yeah.
SNAP.
The SNAP.
And the federal government has asked for information to make sure the money is going to legitimate sources, and Albany has refused to give it to the federal government. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I hope the problem is not as bad as what Minnesota is, $1 billion missing.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to what you talked about before. We have an out-of-control budget, right? So when it becomes important issues like making sure people who are less fortunate are given the ability to feed themselves and feed their families, we should have enough surplus that we can do these things, and we can do these things generously. But what we do is we spend it on a bunch of other things that make absolutely no sense. We waste money, and then we can't do things like make sure everybody's being fed, make sure that we have universal child care. It's like if I'm as an individual, it's like I'm constantly putting stuff down on my credit card and I'm not paying my bill, and then I wonder why I can't buy gifts for Christmas. And that's where we are with our state government, and that's what we got to fix, because we can't deal with affordability if we don't.
Paul Zuber, keep us informed, and thank you for everything. I mean, you have 3,000 members, so you have the pulse of the situation. And I'm not going to ask you how many want to leave.
Well, I will tell you that I got a call from one of them who was thinking about doing something in New York and North Carolina, and they shared with me the information they asked for in North Carolina as opposed to New York. And you can see why they're probably going to go to North Carolina. It's almost like, come, we want you, we love you, we want you to build here, we want you to create a job here. The New York application is like, we don't trust you, we think you're lying, yes. That sort of attitude. And that's why we're...
By the way, Florida is the same way. I can speak for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you very much for coming on this Sunday morning, and let's stay in touch.
All right. Thank you, John.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now, is right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.